Boom. How are we doing, people? How are we doing? Before I get into this, I want to entire screen. Boom. I think let's see how that looks. I just want to double check everything on my end is looking good and sounding good. I don't want the screen to look like that. I might just have it, if I can, on one full. There we go. That's better. That's better. How does this sound? On one full. There we go. There we go. Sounds good. So I thought I'd do a bit of screen sharing and go over a few bits and pieces before I get into the chat. We'll let the chat fill up and then I'll get to your questions. But I just thought this article right here is very interesting. This is obviously from Pro Boxing Fans. Deontay Wilder reveals when the Anthony Joshua fight can happen. Now, you would have assumed that Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua, that is the fight that's going to be on the majority of people's minds, because that's probably the main reason why a lot of us are thinking Deontay Wilder is coming back, aiming for Joshua fight next year. Deontay Wilder believes a long-awaited showdown with Anthony Joshua can finally take place next year. Wilder and Joshua have been on a collision course since 2018, when both men held heavyweight titles. That seems like such a long time ago, doesn't it? Wilder returns to the ring on June the 27th against Terrell Herndon, I think I say his name, says about with the Brit could be staged next year. Not sure for this year, the 39-year-old told 78 Sports TV, but maybe sometime next year, maybe a year after that or something. I got to get myself back together first and foremost, and I've got to prove to myself that I'm back together like I feel. The former WBC heavyweight champion will look to bounce back after back-to-back losses to the aforementioned Parker and Zhilei Zhang, who halted him in 5 rounds last June. It'll be a year out of the ring, by the way, as well. A year out of the ring. The Alabama man who has just one win in his last 5 fights, is preparing to have 3 bouts this year and has confirmed his next bout will take place outside the USA. Interesting. So he has it all planned. I think it's a great selection he added. We've got a lot of fights lined up for this year. We're looking to have maybe 3 fights this year. When's the last time he did that? The next one's going to be outside his country, and we're looking to do one more near the end of the year. We want to get some warm-ups in before we get back into big, meaningful fights, because we could have easily got back into that, but it'll defeat the purpose of what we're looking forward to in the future. So Deontay Wilder is essentially saying that he wants to basically do what Anthony Joshua did 2 years ago and have 3 warm-up fights this year before looking to go in and basically go in there with Anthony Joshua. Now, I can't really hate on that too much, to be honest with you. I sort of can't, but at the same time, I'll bring the screen share back in now in 2 minutes. Let's get that back on screen, and I'll read a couple of your chats before we preview the fights over the course of the weekend. I can't really begrudge him too much for that, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, he's coming off the back of back-to-back knockout defeats. No, sorry, not back-to-back knockout defeats, back-to-back defeats. Well, really, I mean, he's won in his last 5. It's been a horrible time for Deontay Wilder. But at the same time, I mean, he wants to take this year to try and rebuild himself. I don't think that's going to work. He's going to be 40 this year. Anthony Joshua tried to rebuild himself 2 years ago when he was in his early 30s. Wilder is going to be 40 this year. It just ain't going to work. People, that is just not going to work whatsoever. I think that is a recipe for disaster. Mr. Lucas says the bronze basketball player. Big up to Fia DeAngelis. I think that's how you say that name. Hello to G-Man. Love the Ade and G-Man show. Best around. Yes, best around. I think it's brilliant. But I'm biased. Whoa, I'm not reading that full name. Yo, man. I'm not reading that full name. No way. Like in the... Holy crap, man. Some of these guys with the names they come out with, I swear. Holy crap, man. I shouldn't laugh. That name literally threw me. Holy crap. Oh my God. Oh man. Honestly, that threw me that name there. Honestly. Richard the Fourth, good evening. Wilder is done. Yeah, man, he's what 40 years old, as nearest makes no difference. And he's needing three tune-up fights this year. I just yeah, no. I think waffles are great. Big up G Man, big up man, big up long time viewer. G Man, how long will it take to grow a channel? What is some good advice? Well, it can take a while, man. It can genuinely take a while. It's not as straightforward as you do it and then boom, it blows up. With what I do, boxing news and stuff like that, it took me a while to build this, and it took a lot of work. 2020 was a particularly hard year, especially the start of the year, because there wasn't much happening. So growth in all platforms, certainly in boxing, just stagnated like crazy. That's not the norm, obviously. So, it will grow, but you just need to work at it. It's as simple as that. It's like anything in life, man. You can't just start it and expect it to just snowball. And as well as that, like, there's no shame in asking for help. There's absolutely no shame in that. But at the end of the day, you can only help someone so much. If they're not willing to put in an equal amount of effort, there's not really anything you can do in that situation. So I would say just keep working at it. If you need some help, ask for it. Yeah, but there's only so much you can do. I mean, if you're someone who puts out one video a week and you say, oh, I'm not growing, or say a fight happens, like I'll give you an example, right? Say this fight this weekend, say Joe Joyce, Philip Hergovich, right? If you're looking to do a review of that fight and you have, say, 200, 300 subscribers, and you're coming out on Monday, Tuesday with a review, and you may as well have just not done anything at all. So you always got to be on top of things. You always got to be on top of things. So that's what I got to say on that one. I will never speak to Eddie again. Oh, Eddie and Sky, what has happened there? Eddie and Sky, what has happened there? American's biggest ever hype job. My question is why isn't he retired? Even a broke AJ would smoke Beyonce. Well, the way he looked against Zhilei Zhang, listen, say whatever you want to say about how AJ looked against Dubois. And I've watched that fight back several times. He looked terrible against Dubois, but he did come out on the front foot. He did try and stand his ground. Wilder against Hergovich, or not Hergovich, Wilder against Zhilei Zhang was just sad. Like, that really was sad. Evening to, I'm just going to call you Bo. Evening, that's an interesting question. John Fury versus Jake Paul in boxing. Are you talking about like peak John Fury? I'd probably still take Jake Paul over peak John Fury, to be honest with you. He was pretty terrible. In terms of right now, I mean, John Fury, to be honest with you, he wouldn't even take that scrap. I know he'd love to give it the big and say, oh, yeah, any man, I'll fight any man, all that. I wouldn't even say he'd take that fight right now. And I would make, like, John Fury's what, 60? Thereabouts? So, yeah, he will not face Jake Paul in Queensbury boxing. Prime John Fury, I probably wouldn't have picked him either. I probably wouldn't have, but yeah, John Fury now, it ain't gonna happen. Disclaimer, G-Man, do you miss the Luke Partridge fanboys at all? Not really. And to be honest with you, like, I'm kind of savoring the moment before it all comes crashing down. And what I mean by that is I fully expect Tyson Fury to eventually come back at some point this year. I think that's just inevitable. I think that's going to happen. And once it does, we'll probably see the Fury fanboys come back to the surface in their drones. So I'm going to savor the moment now. Whilst we have that little bit of solidarity, that little bit of peace, a little bit of peace and quiet, I'm going to savor that. And ultimately, when they do return, when he returns and they return with him, we'll be back to kind of where we were with it. But it was fun. They were so easy to wind up. I mean, it was just, honestly, when you saw some of the hysteria they used to come out with, it was phenomenal. I mean, it really was. I'd never seen anything like it. I had Wilder fanboys back in the day, but they were never as just out there. And I know some of the Wilder fanboys could be. I never really experienced it much. But the Fury fans, holy mother of God, it was incredible. It really was. By the way, we've got 60 viewers and we have currently at the minute 27 likes. Get the likes up, people. We want to get it. We want to get it into the hundreds. We want to get into the hundreds. You know, I want to hit 23K hopefully this week. And big up to Owen. Big up to Reese. How are you, my friend? Owen Foster. Let's be honest. AJ and Wilder is a fight that will always be up in the air. I'll be very surprised if it ever happens. Well, if it happens now, AJ all the way. And there's just not even a debate on that. AJ all the way. Prime for prime, I really don't know. I mean, I genuinely would fancy Deontay Wilder prime for prime, but retirement fund, possibly. I mean, I can't imagine. You say retirement fund, Billy the Kid. I can't imagine he's going to be getting much for fighting this guy in Wichita, of all places. I mean, the arena might be cheap, but I can't imagine he's going to get much for that. Regarding the likes of Dubois and Parker, I would much rather see Parker. Actually, that's a shout. Parker Usyk and Dubois versus Kabayel. They're really good fights, actually. And they're actually really, really good fights. That's actually, it's not a bad show, actually. They're really, really good scraps. He's fighting another bum. This opponent is worse than the other. Well, Wilder spent the majority of the early part of his career fighting this caliber of opponent. And, well, he's going and he's going back to basics. AJ Watson isn't almost 40. Correct. He isn't. And rebuilding at retirement age. Yeah, that's the thing. That's exactly the thing. I mean, like with Anthony Joshua coming back against Jermaine Franklin, Robert Helenius, and that other guy, Otto Vallian. At that time in Joshua's career, he was again, 32, 33, I think 33 years old. So you could do that. You could do that, no problem. But at nearly 40, time is not on your side. And Wilder has been, yeah, man, he could get seriously hurt. He's been knocked out a few times now. Changing of the guard now, AJ Fury, Wilder should retire. I would imagine this is, I said that last year, but I reckon this probably is, or certainly next year will be it. We won't be seeing these guys post 2026. We won't be. It's just that they will be gone. To trade them. To be honest, Wilder's resume is unfortunate, so poor. It's hard to tell how good he ever really was. I will say it like I see it. Wilder was a very, very limited fighter. We've always seen that throughout the course of his career. He just had exceptional power, great timing, good speed with the right hand, and he just had a will to win. And in the heavyweight division, that might just be enough. I mean, if you took someone with Wilder's attributes, punching power and everything, and you put him at welterweight, he'd probably never even come close to winning a world title. He'd always be dangerous, but you'd never look at him and say he can win a world title. You could potentially be a top heavyweight with his attributes. That's the skill gap between welterweight and heavyweight. You don't need to be as skilled. A lot of coaches in gyms. So I've been around amateur gyms and pro gyms as well. A lot of them love heavyweights. And a lot of fighters, a lot of trainers will tell you there's a variety of reasons why they love heavyweights. One, the majority of people just love watching heavyweights. There's something about them. So that's one thing. But second of all is you don't have to teach them as much. You get a lightweight, you get a welterweight, you get even a middleweight. They have to know so much and you have to teach them and to do so much with them. You get a heavyweight. I mean, you literally just kind of have to teach them the basics and they're good to go. So a lot of trainers will say it. They love getting heavyweights in because, yes, you have to train them a bit different, but you don't have to do anywhere near as much. You do not have to do anywhere near as much. So I think that's one reason why a lot of people just love getting heavyweights. And it's another reason as well why, with heavyweights, again, you don't have to do as much. And big up to Jesus, I think is how I'm going to say that. Happy Monday to you too, my friend. Happy Monday. Deep Random Tinker says, that's a good question. That's a mega question. Will we ever see a bigger historic event in our lifetime than May 19th, 2024, Usyk becoming undisputed? Man, that right there, it's hard to really put it into words, isn't it, mate? How big, because that was just that was something else. I'd never seen boxing at a peak like that before. It was just phenomenal. Like, I will tell you now, as a content creator, every video, in particular Fight Week, was topping out on 10K views. And I had I think I started with like 17K and a bit that week. and I had like 19K by the end of it. It was, I don't know if it was that good, but it was in and around that. It was absolutely incredible. I mean, the views, everything, people were fixated on it. It just had something about it. I can't explain it. It was like nothing I've ever seen in boxing. VO David Ho. Honest thoughts. I don't think there are any good fights for Usyk. He's a massive favorite against everybody. Well, I would have said Piccoli at one stage, but I don't know how he's going to be post the Parker debacle are on the same level. I wouldn't say so. I would say Joshua is definitely still got something left in the tank. You can't help anyone who won't help themselves. True that. Big boys boxing. You're exactly spot on that one. I think Wilder needs at least 5. Man, he doesn't have 5 years. He doesn't have 5 years stats killer. He really doesn't. He's no George Foreman. Nope. Man, George Foreman was one of a. You mentioned George Foreman, man. Honestly, it's still. I still can't believe that. I just still can't believe he's passed. It's still just. I can't believe it. I still can't believe that. I heard about the call out, all right, but yeah, that's. I seen Motive Media did a video on it. I'm gonna watch that later. I think they worded that this will be the most satisfying KO in boxing. Ooh, Joey Real Gamer, you reminded me. I'm gonna read a few more questions and then I'll do a little preview of this weekend's card. Thank you for that. And the 286 Project, what's up, G-Man? Have you seen the interview with Liam Cameron on TalkSport today? He said about him and Whitaker have signed for. Do you know what? I haven't seen it yet, but I did see the quote. I did see the quotes about it. That's not good. That's not good from Boxer. And apparently he's pushing for the 12 rounds, so he should. So he flipping well should. I did see that. If Wilder wanted to keep fighting, he should have taken Stephen Shaw fight. This fight would mean, yeah, hit the like, you slacker. 71 in the building. 71 in the building. And how many of the likes? We 34 likes. We're actually not doing too bad in terms of like ratio. But let's just keep it going. Is still young and has enough time to improve. 39, man? I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I really don't mind if Wilder comes back, but Malik Scott needs to go. He's regressed under Malik Scott, 100%. Y'all seem like you just don't like US fighters. No, it's nothing to do with that. Big up to Adam of Yorkshire. How are you, my friend? I hope you're keeping well. Yo, G-Man, been away from YouTube for a while. I thought that all right. I haven't seen you for a while, mate. Oh, man, we all need it. We all need it from time to time. A phone and just a detox from online. It does people the world of good. It really, truly does. I believe Parker deserves the shot. I do as well. As he was the one who would have fought that night. Dubois could keep Caballero away with that Sonny Liston jab, but the body shots could crack him. Yeah, that jab from Dubois will cause problems with anyone. Wilder fought guys like Brazil, who was tough but slow. I mean, Brazil was tailor-made for Wilder. You couldn't have picked a better opponent for Wilder to look good against other than Dominic Brazil. Big up to Ben Odom. How are you, my friend? Long time, man. Long time viewer. Hope you are keeping well, man. Wilder knows a new clip of him knocking out an unknown fighter, an unknown boxer, whets many fans' appetites. Turkey's checkbook will be out immediately. And you've summed it up pretty much there, man. That's what I think it is. He needs to just be seeing, oh, yeah, I'm back. The highlight reel knockout. We're good to go. Blah, 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 blah. And, oh, yeah, Turkey will have the checkbook out. And I think, truth be told, he probably would. Certainly, if he got maybe 2 back-to-back highlight reel knockouts, he probably would. He probably would, go and do something like that. I reckon he would. No, I didn't see that. I mean, if he is, well, that's his choice. He was married, Tony Yoka, to Estelle Mosley. Is he? I'm not looking up to see was he married to Estelle Mosley. I know he was. It doesn't returns in May. It doesn't say anything. I'm not seeing anything about that. Hang on a sec. I'm not seeing anything about that. Ain't nothing about that online. I mean, if he is, then that's his business, If he is. I know he was married to Estelle Mosley, and that marriage didn't well, it did happen, obviously, but they obviously separated. But yeah, look, if he is, then yeah, there you go. I mean, I don't really have a comment on it. I mean, to each his own. He's a big boy. He can make his own decisions. People love watching them because 8 to 10 times the knockout is nasty. They are nasty. It's from Wilder, man. They are 86, by the way, in the building. If you could as well, we're nearly at 40 likes. There you go. Hitting the likes. Hitting the likes. 20 minutes in and we're hitting the likes. Paula didn't read that. Look what happened to Joyce. One of the best chins of our time. I wouldn't go that far, but the defense eventually cracked the chin. Defense is bread and butter. Look at Arthur Abraham and Winky Wright. Well, Arthur Abraham is he's all right these days. I haven't heard from him in a while, actually. But yeah, Joyce always had a good chin, but I would say Hrgovic has a better chin. And well, we all know. Is Tyson Fury? I don't really think of him in that way, man, to be honest with you. So no real comment either way. It's a strange old question. What's good? Big up to Azzy. Dubois is the greatest fighter of all time. I think Stats Killer is trolling with that. Wilder hasn't beaten a legit top 10 heavyweight ever. Well, I would say at the time you could have made the case that Luis Ortiz was a top 10 heavyweight. Stavern was. Obviously, he was a weaker champion, and it was still kind of the end of the Klitschko era when Stavern was champion. So, I mean, you could say they're both top 10 at their time, but yeah, not amazing. Wilder will fight Joshua if the Saudis give him the bag. What do you think would happen if the Beterbiev-Bivol trilogy happens? To be honest with you, for me, I'm just kind of like, okay, I think Bivol will win. I think Bivol has it figured out now. Is the greatest living fighter by a mile. I mean, it's so subjective. Remember to close that tab. Ain't no need for that. I don't go down those roads, man. Nah, man. Well, oh yeah, man. Greatest to ever lace him up, man. He was heavyweight champion for years. The regular belt, he brought that to strange new heights. He really, truly did. He really, truly did. He brought that regular belt to heights we ain't never seen before or since. Oh yeah, we all desperate to get Manuel Charr back in the ring because he's just so damn good. He really, truly is. As I bring in the screen share again, I'm gonna boom pop it open like that. Now, have a look there on screen. Let me know if you can all see that. Yeah, you should be able to see that. So this is the fight card for this weekend. It's the fight card for the upcoming fights this weekend. This is Frank Warren's DAZN debut. It's up in Manchester in the Co-op Arena. And first things first, I want to get this out of the way. Obviously, we were meant to have Lawrence Okolie versus Richard Riakporhe. We were meant to have that fight. Okolie pulled out. Riakporhe is now gone from this card. Anyone else just gonna... Riakporhe is now gone from this card. It's quite a big card. I mean, he's got a lot of fights on here. He genuinely does a lot of fights on here. Now, Jack Rafferty versus Corey O'Regan guy. Can't really say I've seen much of him fight. Who's he been in there with? Anyone I really recognize? Chris Attaway, I recognize, very well-known journeyman. But other than that, nobody. So that's one of the fights that actually looks to be all right. David Alaye, Jamie TKV for the British title. That'll be interesting. All right, that'll be interesting. I'm looking forward, kind of curious to see the debut of Delicious Ori, who's this guy here. Awful name. Delicious. It really is. It's just that's some name. But I'll be interested to see how he looks, to be honest with you. But he's in there against this guy right here. Now, I actually watched this guy when he fought Matty Harris about 2 years ago. Actually, this day 2 years ago. Yeah, me and Ade were there, and you recall that night. The fight lasted, look at that, 23 seconds. So he was down the first meaningful shot. And this is who Delicious Ori, an Olympian, is making his pro debut against from Bosnia-Herzegovina. 27 years old, 6'2", 3-7, 2 knockout losses. It's not exactly an indication that this guy is really gonna, he's gonna trouble anybody. So this is who Delicious Ori is making his debut against. Yeah, I'm always convinced they can get like debutantes like Ori better than that, surely. But we're not talking about that. The main one we're going to be talking about is this baby right here. This baby right here. Interestingly enough, look at that. 10 rounder. It's not a 12 rounder. They actually have Pergovic set for 10 rounds. 10 rounds as opposed to 12. Now, there's no title on the line, so fair enough. But you would have thought they would have at least looked to do a 12 rounder. I think a 12 rounder benefits Joe Joyce actually more than it benefits Filip Hrgovic, because we've seen Hrgovic in the past go to 12 rounds. And if he's really letting the shots go early, he does appear to maybe, I'm not going to say he's got stamina problems or anything like that, no. But if he starts fast, he tends to punch himself out, whereas Joe Joyce seems to have a lot more stamina. Certainly seems to have a lot more stamina anyway. So I'm interested with this one. I'm going to do a full-length preview and prediction probably tomorrow at some point. I'll probably upload that tomorrow night. But I'm intrigued. Joe Joyce, when to, and then he got stopped by him again. He had that VPN is down, but that's not going to affect. Okay, let me know how that sounds. Let me know how that sounds, people. Let me know how that sounds. That better? Let me know. No idea what happened there. No idea what happened there. Epic failure. Yeah, epic failure. No, that should be fine. That should be fine. That should be fine. That should be fine. I suspect it has something to do with the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi, when you're doing two things at once on here, it can be a little bit, temperamental. It can be a little bit temperamental. So I suspect that's what it was. That's one of the reasons as to why I don't use the camera on these lives, because whenever I use it, it always tends to start acting up. So that's why I just put the avatar on. And the other problem is I got to figure out where I was in the live chat, because we'll go back to the live chat for the last half hour. Yes, we'll go back to the live chat for the last half hour. So where are we at? Good luck trying to sell AJ Wilder now. I think that's one of the reasons. Why Deontay Wilder is coming back against these guys, because he wants to show people that, oh, actually, I'm still a killer. I can still do X, Y, and Z, in the hope that it will endear fans into buying him against AJ if they end up going ahead and fighting. He already beat an all-time great Mike Tyson. AJ will be next. Yeah. I wish it were that straightforward, man. Yoga was not the same post-divorce. Well, I would say yoga hasn't been the same since he's been taking part in testing more so than anything else because he infamously missed those tests in the aftermath of the Dave Allen fight. And I want to point out, Dave Allen has said on several occasions that Yoka was one of the hardest punchers he's ever been hit by. That's from Dave Allen's own words, right? Dave Allen went 10 rounds with Yoka. Now, Dave Allen, Dave, if Yoka is such a big puncher, he's not been able to even put a remote dent in some of these other guys as of late. So I suspect he's not been looking the same purely because he is having to adhere to proper protocol. And I reckon that's the reason. I'm sure the divorce hasn't helped. I'm sure it hasn't. But I suspect it's more to do with testing being followed as opposed to anything else. And by the way, if we can get the likes up again, if we could, I know we had a bit of mic issue, so viewers have kind of went a little bit. So if you could, hit the old like button, get the likes back up. We got the likes back up. Let Usyk not quadruple knee. He always asks this question. It's like without failure. Deep random thinker always asks that question every time. I think Wilder feels he has no way to go. As his resume is very thin with no elite wins. Maybe give him 2 world-class wins at best, Luis Ortiz and maybe Stavern at the time. At the time, there's only one Irish Joseph Parker. He definitely ain't Irish. He is many things. Irish ain't one of them. He definitely ain't that. Has the best chance of beating Usyk, possibly. I'd give him a good chance, to be honest with you. I wouldn't pick him, but I'd give him a good chance. I wouldn't mind seeing that either. I think that would actually be a bit of fun. Diamond Boy versus Lovejoy is what boxing needs. Diamond Boy? Who's the Diamond Boy? You're going to have to remind me who that is. If you're talking about Manuel Char versus Lovejoy, we've already seen that. It was a spectacle. It was a flippant spectacle, to say the least. And I mean, that was painful, that fight. Like, it really was that bad. It was painful. Manuel Char versus Chris Lovejoy. It really, I'll never forget that. Yeah, well, we've already seen Manuel Char versus Chris Lovejoy, and as I said, it was painful. It was flipping painful. I love Lovejoy. Also watched Leonard versus Hearn 2, scored at 114, 112 to Hearn. Okay. Scored at 114, 112 to Hearn. I'm really kind of indifferent on that fight. I mean, you could have it either way. Probably would give it slightly to Thomas Hearn. I would. I give it slightly to him. Yeah, I think so. Because he knew Turkey won't pay for Undisputed. I don't think it's that strict, to be honest with you, man. I don't think it's anything like that. Yeah, they won't. They won't be doing something in boxing. What do you think of Frank Warren talking more about going international? Hearn's style doesn't want to see him go down the road of Eddie Hearn since he went to America. His UK shows have been poor. Yeah, they have. They certainly have. Listen, I think with Frank, he has got to a point now where he is just like, this is what I want to do. I'm the biggest promoter arguably in the UK. So now I've done the UK. What's next? Let's go further abroad. Let's go further afield. Eddie Hearn did it. His UK shows have suffered as a result. They definitely have. For all his flaws, yeah, legendary stamina. Yeah, Mike went ba-boom. It literally went kaput. We can hear you. Yes. Didn't realize G-Man looks like Tyson Fury. Oh, the resemblance is uncanny. What can I say? Oh, yeah. The resemblance is uncanny. Wants to be exposed. Big Corey to you. Love talking about that for some reason. Okie dokie. Big up to Ian Hamilton. How are you, man? How are you? I hope you're keeping well. If you could predict who for you are the top Irish fighters, north and south, that'll be ones we are hyped about. Can be ones we haven't heard of yet. Well, Paddy Donovan and Callum Walsh, they come to mind, definitely. They definitely come to mind. In terms of others, it's a good question. I don't really know. I don't really think too deep about that, man. I mean, there's not many, to be honest with you, in Ireland that are really, setting the world alight, to be honest with you. So I have to give that a bit more of a deep thought on, to be honest with you, because again, like there's not many Irish fighters out there really that are properly setting the world alight, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I I'd have to give that one a bit more of a thought, to be honest with you, mate. I would, but Paddy Donovan and certainly Callum Walsh definitely. Maybe someone like a Tommy Hyatt, but again, they're probably the only names that really spring to mind. Seriously, there's not many. There's not many. Serious question: do you view not Wilder's next opponent number 285? Oh man, that is just that's just sad at this point to be doing that. That is just absolutely sad. It really is. I don't. I wouldn't pick him again. If it's Bacoli, I think that fight could go very bad for AJ. Very, very bad. Yeah, Yoka was suspended for a year for duck and vada tests. Yeah. And you see, the thing you need to remember is, right, he came back, I think, in 2019. And then he looked good in 2020 because they weren't testing for really anything. They were testing for something, but it wasn't PEDs. And then once everything became normal again, that's when we really seen Tony Yoka really start to kind of go under in terms of his, well, basically his career. Do you think Conor Benn will weigh in the full 160? Yeah, I'd say he probably will. I'd say he probably will, to be honest with you. Big up the Chainsaw, late to the live. Big up to Chris V. I hope you're keeping well, man. I hope you're keeping well. And big up to Jake, as always, long time viewer. I think it took Fury, Wilder, and AJ 8 years to fight one another. It's crazy, isn't That's actually sad when you think about it like that, man. That really is. That's actually so flipping sad. Took him 8 years, man. That's actually so sad. I mean, you're after upsetting me with that fact now. After flipping upsetting me with that fact. We waited long enough, and yeah, it's been a long ass wait. And people, if you could, I would greatly appreciate it if you could carry on hitting that like button. Need to get those likes up, man. Need to get those likes up. Need to get the likes up bad, big time. So if you haven't already, do please consider hitting that like button, jabbing it, smashing it, anything, all that good stuff. If you could, man, if you could. I'm probably going to stay on for maybe another 10 or so minutes. If even thereabouts, I'll probably stay on for another 10 or so minutes. I think he should. I do. I think Errol Spence should retire. I think that Errol Spence at this point in his career, there's not much left. I mean, he looked so bad against Terence Crawford. He took such a beat that for me, I don't think there's any coming back from that. I don't. I just think there's no coming back from that. I think that Errol Spence right now, and I think he's kind of alluded to it, to be honest with you, saying that, giving a warning to young fighters, saying, treat your career a bit more serious and, this, that, and the other. I think that Errol Spence is done. I just don't see anything. I don't think he's got anything left in him. Since you're Irish, what are your thoughts on how good McGuigan truly was? It's not a fight I ever really watched too much of, to be honest with you, man. It's Barry McGuigan was well done, like well and truly done by the time. So I only ever really knew Barry McGuigan as kind of the media personnel. He was in Hell's Kitchen, he was on Sky. I never really followed his career. I never really followed his career too deep, to be honest with you. Barry McGuigan. I know he was a world champion and all that, but again, he's not someone I never really followed him too deep, to be honest with you. What's your prediction what Bacoli's weight will be for a Jagba? It will definitely be lighter. I reckon we're looking at maybe the 290s, probably 290s there or thereabouts. He'll be for the Jagba fight. That's what I reckon. He should go straight in. And what are your thoughts on fellow Irish OSW reviews? I've no OSW reviews. You're gonna have to enlighten me on that one, man. I've never. If it's a channel, it's something I've never heard. OSW. Nah, it doesn't ring a bell, man. It doesn't ring a bell. Uh, Thoughts on Torres versus Guido this weekend? I've not really been impressed with that Guido Vianello. Is it Guido Vianello? Is that how you say his name? Never really impressed me, man. So Torres should probably get the job done. Say probably should probably get the job done. I mean, I think everyone. I think if you're not in with Turkey now and you're seeing Turkey and TKO, your first instinct is, "Oh my God, what do we do? We've got to work together and stuff like that." I think that's what they're doing. Sorry, the UK shows in the last 3 years have been something. I'm gonna say it. Best so far this year. That was a good show, actually. That was a good show, to be honest with you. We had Groves, Can, Brook, Don't, man. They were flipping. They were epic times. They were epic, epic times. How do you think Boots Danionis will go? Boots should win. He should win. Get to 50. I'll try it, man. I'll try it. I'll try it. I might call it in the next 5. If you could jab the like button, though, I'd appreciate that. That's all I ask. Who has the best chance of beating Bivol? Beterbiev, Benavides. I might give, well, Opataya, I'd give the best chance Opataya because he's so much bigger. So I give it to Opataya just based on that. Bud shot himself with the foot saying Spence isn't the Hall of Famer. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people get in the Hall of Fame and they've not really done a great deal, and they were never really, amazing fighters or anything like that. Can you do best to worst on the Ben Eubank undercard? Best fight is probably going to be Chef Clark versus Vidal Riley. I would say Ben Eubank might be second best. I would say Liam Smith versus McKenna. I'm going to say Anthony Yard, Lyndon Arthur is the worst. Just going to get that out of there. They're both shot to bits. They are. If Steve Collins got his wish and got Roy Jones Jr. tonight, what chance would you give him respectfully? I wouldn't give him much of a chance of beating Roy Jones. I mean, I know he mentioned Roy Jones. He spoke about Roy Jones. I wouldn't have given him much of a chance at all of beating Roy Jones, to be honest with you. I really wouldn't. I think he would have absolutely been sparked clean out by Roy Jones. That's just my thinking. Although Collins was always tough, so he might have seen the end. He might have got to the end, but old school wrestling reviews, a bunch of Irish lads. We see there's the problem. I don't really watch wrestling. So I'm not really gonna watch, people reviewing wrestling, to be honest, which it's not really been for me. So in the nicest way, I can't say I'd be rushing to watch that. It seems like Spence's entire career is now revolved around the Crawford fight. Sad. Well, man, I think that was the biggest fight of his career. And again, a lot of people bring that up. But yeah, I mean, if we look at Spence's whole career, there's so much more than that. Coming to the UK, beating Kell Brook, beating Sean Porter. The biggest thing with Errol Spence's career is what if the car crash never happened? Because that really, to me, is the biggest what if with Errol Spence. If he hadn't had that car crash, which did cause, God knows what kind of damage it really caused. I mean, his career could have been something completely different. G-Man, was there beef between Hatman and Boxing Beats and Rhymes? Not that I was ever aware of, to be honest with you. I mean, it's nothing that I was ever aware of. I know Hatman never mentioned it, and I honestly don't know. If there was, I never heard it. So that's what I got to say on that one. But I wasn't aware there was any beef whatsoever between the two of them, respectively. And I'm in the Element group with Hatman. I see a lot of things that goes on, nothing bad or anything like that, of course not. But I never heard him even allude to it. So for me, it's just like, I wasn't aware there was any beef, to be honest with you, man. I wasn't aware there was any beef. People, we are just over the 40-minute mark. I wanted to get a live in tonight, right? Just to, get a live in, answer a couple of questions. We're coming into a busy week for boxing, a very, very busy week. So I'm going to call it here, just on the 45-minute mark, right? If you haven't already, I would encourage you to please leave a like on this live stream. I really enjoyed it. If I have time this week, which is unlikely, I will try and do more, but probably do one on the weekend. We are doing a live watch along for the fights this weekend for the main event. So that's something to look forward to. And in the meantime, I will leave it there. I have a video on Billy Joe I got to record. I've got to record a video potentially on this whole Ben Whitaker, Liam Cameron situation, because this is getting interesting. So I'm going to leave it there on the 45-minute mark. People, for now, I enjoyed you being in here. Big up the Fight Sport Talk. Just as I'm finishing up, you decide to come in, but it's all good, man. Appreciate you every time. People, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, if you could, just smash that like button. I would really appreciate it if you could. Mean the world to us. And for now, people, and big up the JDs, all come when I'm getting ready to go. You know that when I'm ready to finish up and log off is when you all start showing up. It's always the way. But people, I hope you have a great evening. Can't guarantee I'll get another video tonight, but definitely first thing tomorrow morning. And yeah, for now, have a great evening. All that. Thanks for locking in. First live in a couple of weeks, maybe a month. I don't do them as much these days. I really don't. I don't do them as much these days. But look, I enjoy them when I do them. So people, I hope you enjoyed it. Good 45 minutes. I never do any more. It's always between 45 to an hour. I never go over that. Because I just don't. That's the sweet spot. So people, I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, peace. Oh, no, don't. I actually went to end it and I pressed leave studio. So good job I didn't do that. Now it's peace.